Alright, so let me show you what we are going to create during this training. We're going to build a music player. Now I realize that you probably already have a music player, but it turns out that a music player is a really great canvas for creating interesting UI. And because of that, it gives us the opportunity to take a close look at all of the WPF essentials. We're going to cover controls, layout, data binding, everything that you need to get started. Okay, so it's always a good idea to start with the end in mind. So let's take a look at where we want to end up. If you open up the WPF Essentials project files and go into the Chapter 1 folder, you'll notice in here there's a folder called Completed Music Player. If you open up the Completed Music Player, there's an executable in here called musicplayer.exe, and this is the music player that we want to create during this course. So if you double click on this exe, you can see the music player that we're going to create. Notice that there is a list of songs over on the left-hand side, and then there's also a play button, which we can click on to play music.
He hasn't let his hair down. We're going to see if we can help him out right now.
Or click on again to pause or stop. And there's also a volume control and a timer, as well as a nice display of the artist information in the album art. One thing also to note right here is that we've provided some music for you. This is music that was actually donated by a member of the Total Training staff. And if you want more information about the music, check out the link in the Music Files folder that's inside of the Chapter 1 folder in your project files. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this. Now the other thing that I've placed inside of the Chapter 1 files is a screenshot of the music player. This will especially be handy in our chapter about layout. You can think of the screenshot as our design spec. This will help us make decisions as we go and make sure that we're staying on track. Okay, so let's get set up to go ahead and build this application. To follow along, you're going to need to have some things running on your machine. The first of these is WPF. WPF is a part of the .NET Framework 3.0, so you'll need to have that installed and running on your machine. And make sure that you have version 3.0. WPF is not included in earlier versions of the .NET Framework. If you're running Windows Vista, then the .NET Framework 3.0 is already on your machine. Otherwise, you can download it from Microsoft. The second thing that you're going to need is Visual Studio. Visual Studio is a wonderful IDE or development environment made by Microsoft. And if you don't already have it, you can download a scaled-back version called C# Express for free. C# Express doesn't give you all of the functionality that you have with Visual Studio, but it should be enough for you to follow along. And then finally, if you're running Visual Studio 2005 or C# Express, you'll need to install the Visual Studio extensions for .NET Framework 3.0. This gives you the project files and the templates that we'll be looking at. If you're using a later version of Visual Studio, then these are probably already installed for you. And then finally, we'll be using a couple of additional tools that you'll want to have handy. The first is either XAMLpad, which you can get with the .NET Framework 3.0 SDK, or you can use one of the many XAMLpad replacements that are available on the web. The SDK is a really big download. So if you have any problem getting it, you might want to search for XAML, which you can get from my blog at notstatic.com,